you opening the app because you chose to, or because a twitch in your thumb chose for you? Are you swiping through faces with a small electric hope, only to feel flatter an hour later? Are you telling yourself you're keeping options open, while real options keep slipping because nothing survives your comparison machine? Be honest. Do you want a woman, or do you want the feeling you get right before you match? Anticipation without obligation. Arthur Schopenhauer would recognize this trance. He called it the will, blind, ceaseless striving that uses your nervous system like a violin. Satisfaction is a trick of light. The closer you walk, the farther it moves. In the swipe economy, the will wears gloss and notifications. It promises a perfect fit and hands you perfect restlessness. Schopenhauer's cure isn't cynicism, it's clarity. See the will, limit its jurisdiction, and structure your life so desire answers to standards, not to novelty. You do not have to become a monk. You do have to become a governor of your attention, your pace, your courtship. You slow the river. You trade instant chemistry for durable capacity. You carry yourself as if a future family will read your chats and thank you. And you practice the cool refusal that keeps you from blowing up what you actually want for the thrill of what you could get. The app is not neutral. It is designed to keep your thumb moving and your mind suspended between reward and promise. Schopenhauer's will thrives in that gap. The moment before the match is sweeter than the message after it. The hope for dopamine is hotter than the hit. So you become a priest of anticipation, giving your hours to a god that never blesses, only beckons. Notice the pattern. You scroll to escape boredom, escalate to escape effort, and exit when effort arrives. The will loves this loop because it keeps striving alive and consequence far away. Name the will live. Each time the urge spikes, say out loud, will, not choice. That sentence restores a fraction of distance. Then impose a delay. Place the phone down for 2 minutes, breathe with your belly, and ask a simple question. What would I be building right now if I were already loved? Often the answer is unromantic and adult. Finish the file, prep meals, train, call a friend, learn a skill. Each time you obey that answer, the will loses a lever. You are not suppressing desire, you are denying its claim to the throne. Install appointments for the app. 2 windows a week, 30 minutes each, seated at a table, not slumped in a bed. You write a short message to 3 people who match your standards, and you leave. No grazing, no late-night loops. The will feeds on unbounded access. You starve it with clocks, and you move the next step off the screen quickly. A brief call within days, a short coffee within a week, or closure. Talking forever is not mystery. It is avoidance masquerading as momentum. Because the will glamorizes novelty, it also slanders the present. Counter with a log. After each chat or date, jot 3 lines. What was real? What was projection? What cadence fits? Reading your own notes will expose how often desire tries to relabel red lights as adventure. It will also protect you from writing off a solid person because your nervous system misses the suspense of chasing a stranger. The treadmill's trick is endless possibility. Your antidote is deliberate probability. You stop worshipping maybes and start choosing maybes you can test. Schopenhauer wrote that satisfaction is brief because the will needs motion more than it needs fulfillment. In dating, that means the high of new becomes the low of known, unless you govern pace. Vast intimacy creates debt your character can't pay. Slow courtship converts spark into structure. The point is not to remove romance, it is to sequence it so your attachments grow around evidence instead of fantasy. Begin by choosing a rhythm you can keep sober and busy. You send a simple opener, escalate to a short call, then meet for coffee or a walk. You cap first meets at an hour. You leave wanting a little more. You schedule the second meet before the glow fades, and you keep the time boundary again. By date 3, you've heard stories of stress, not just highlight reels. You've watched how they handle plans, not just how they pose. Chemistry is alive, but it's no longer deputized to do the discernment. Slowness lets character prove itself. Because the will craves novelty, it also trains you to split attention. Resist the buffet. Once you share momentum with someone, reduce parallel threads. You don't need exclusivity on day 2. You do need honest focus. Multi-tracking may keep your ego inflated, but it prevents your heart from deciding. Decision requires exposure to boredom, silence, and the small awkwardness of two people learning each other's pace. Racing past those reveals produces the paradox you already know. 5 options, 0 traction. Make your pacing speak. Tell them how you move. I'm not a pen pal. I prefer quick calls and short meets. I don't rush physical intimacy. I want to see how we handle time. The right person relaxes. The wrong person labels you rigid and vanishes. Good. The treadmill relies on fog. Clear air is your friend. Keep a private courtship ledger that records pattern over performance. Do words become plans? Do plans stick? When they slip, does repair arrive without theatre? Does curiosity travel both ways? If the answer remains yes across weeks, your body will feel safer and your mind will stop demanding fireworks. If the answer trends no, end with one clean sentence. You are not punishing. You are protecting a standard that makes love possible. Your ego will insist that pace equals loss. Counter with an adult truth. Pace is the only way to find what you swear you want. Someone trustworthy, warm, and strong. Rush feeds the will. Rhythm feeds a life. The will whispers that there is always better because better never has to prove itself. On the treadmill, novelty is king, and standards are peasants. Reverse the monarchy. Write standards you can recognize at a bus stop, not only in a bio. Reliability, reciprocity, repair, kindness under inconvenience. These are not slogans. They are behaviors you can observe quickly and measure over time. When you choose them, you are choosing buildability. Treat your standards like a constitution, not a mood. You refer to them when you're infatuated and when you're bored. You quote them to yourself when the perfect face texts at 11:43 p.m. with chaos. You use them to say yes to a person whose beauty you didn't notice in the first 5 minutes because you were finally paying attention to the part of dating that lasts, who they are under friction. Standards shrink your pool and raise your odds. The will hates this math because it can't sprint on it. You love this math because it gets you out of purgatory. Be precise with what you won't do. You won't escalate intimacy before you've watched 3 real-world disappointments land without blame. You won't rationalize disrespect because attraction is high. You won't demote your non-negotiables to preferences to keep a vibe alive. Each time you uphold a line, you teach your nervous system a new association. Loss sometimes means safety. Endings sometimes mean self-respect. Solitude sometimes means sanity. Paradoxically, your options increase because your self-command is now visible. People trust men who trust themselves. Stop optimizing profiles as if you're pitching a movie. Optimize your days. A life arranged around craft, sleep, training, friendship, and service makes you less edible to the will and more legible to a partner. You're easier to date because you're harder to derail. You have a plan that doesn't beg for rescue or permission. Standards become attractive because they're not theoretical. They are woven into your calendar. Expect fear to sell you scarcity. If you slow down, you'll miss her. Reality says the opposite. Slowness reveals the ones who were never yours. It preserves the ones who might be. Novelty shouts, standards select. You're not choosing less excitement. You're choosing fewer good things long enough for love to recognize itself. When a person meets your standard and you meet theirs, make the choice out loud. End the threads, delete the apps, and tell the truth about why. Commitment is not the death of options. It's the birth of depth. The will protest. Let it. You're not murdering desire. You're giving it a home. Schopenhauer's hard medicine is asceticism, not as lifelong renunciation, but as intervals where you no longer act as the will's employee. In modern terms, you practice periods of intentional deprivation so your desires learn your name. The goal isn't moral purity, it's control of onset. You decide when you look, when you message, when you escalate. If you can't stop, you can't choose. If you can choose, you can love. Start small and stubborn. No swiping after 9 p.m. No app when lying down. No pornography, full stop, for a month to reboot attentional pathways that have been trained to prefer highlight reels to human tempo. Not because sex is bad, because simulated novelty is a solvent that melts patience, gratitude, and curiosity. During the abstention, you will feel friction. Good. Friction is where agency recovers. Replace the loop with breath, cold water, walks, or push-ups. It sounds juvenile until it saves your next year. Pair deprivation with direction. You don't just stop reaching, you start building. Morning craft block before messages. Midday training. Evening reading or brotherhood. The will grows loud when your life is empty. Fill it with repetition that has outcomes. If desire is a river, banks turn it into power. Banks are schedules, vows, and standards enforced on boring Tuesdays. Use public microstakes to anchor self-command. Tell one friend the rule you're keeping this week and the consequence for breaking it. A small donation, an extra hard workout, a chore you hate. Keep the stakes playful and non-destructive. Your pride will do the rest. The point isn't punishment, it's proof. Each kept rule lowers the volume of the voice that says you can't. Expect tricks. The will rebrand compulsion as romance. Spontaneity is sexy, rules are cold. Remember that the most attractive spontaneity is the kind you can afford because your baseline is steady. Want to drive at night to surprise her? Great. After you've proved across weeks that your mornings, money, and mood don't whiplash. Want to escalate? Yes. After your respect has been observed under disappointment. Ascetic intervals don't kill spark. They make it safe to keep. Self-command reveals a deeper comfort than the app ever gave you. You trust yourself in rooms with temptation because you've trained in rooms without it. When you can delay a click, you can delay a kiss. When you can delay a kiss, you can decide if the person in front of you should ever have your heart. The will wants rush. You want range. The treadmill steals most of its years not through first dates, but through fuzzy endings and noisy starts. You linger in threads that died 2 months ago and launch theatrics that promise what you can't keep. Schopenhauer would call this more willing, motion without aim. You stop wasting time by making endings final and beginnings small. When interest fades or disrespect repeats, leave with one sentence you could read in any room. I don't feel the match. I'm stepping out. Wishing you well. No leak, no gossip, no post. Delete the thread so your thumb can't wander back. Unfollow privately. Your mind will beg for one last pass to salvage ego. Decline. Your future partner will be grateful you practiced mercy on strangers. If you were the one who erred, repair once and clearly. Apologize for the breach, not for existing. Offer a single concrete change and accept their answer without negotiation. If they pass, you practice amor fati in miniature. You bless the no because it keeps you honest. Then you file the lesson in your standard and move. Begin new connections quietly. Plan a simple meet you can reproduce, not a spectacle you can't sustain. Bring questions with teeth. Say what you're seeking without packaging it as a test. State your pace up front. When you feel chemistry, resist the instinct to promise a future you haven't built a present for. If you want to impress with consistency. Clean texts, clean plans, clean follow-through. Refuse two vanities. First, the trophy date chosen for optics, which feeds the will and starves your peace. Second, the performative exit designed to crowdsource validation. Both make you smaller. The adult move is neither hiding nor flaunting. It is governing. You choose, you inform, you proceed, you improve. Guard your reputation like a retirement account. Screenshots outlive feelings. If you must send heat, send it to someone who has earned a life with you. Assume every message may one day be read by people you respect. This is not paranoia. It is respect for the life you claim to want. Men who plan to lead families don't talk like boys who plan to delete. Every clean exit is an investment in your next beginning, because it trains your nervous system to tolerate the ache of unfinished dopamine. Each quiet start is an investment in your future steadiness because it keeps promises small and true. That's how the treadmill slows. Not because the world got better, but because you did. You've seen the will in your hand. You've slowed courtship. You've written standards you can enforce. You've practiced ascetic intervals that restore choice. You've ended loops cleanly and begun quietly. Now you integrate until this isn't effort, it's style. Schopenhauer's pessimism becomes a gift here. Assume desire will keep asking for more. Arrange your life so more gets told where to sit. Build a week you could repeat without shame. 2 app windows at fixed times and places. 1 or 2 focused dates that fit a life already worth living. Daily craft before messages. Training that teaches your body as much as your mirror. A brotherhood that checks your stories against facts. Solitude that keeps your voice louder than the feed. If you had to live this loop forever, would you be proud? Adjust until yes. Measure progress by calm, not counts. Are you less yanked by mood? Do you answer slower and decide faster? Is your sleep more regular and your speech shorter? Do you need fewer people to regulate your nervous system? The treadmill keeps score in matches. Your track keeps score in steadiness. Expect relapse attempts. Boredom will send you fishing for the old thrill. Fatigue will call your standards rigid. Loneliness will romanticize chaos. Smile. Name the will. Touch a doorframe. Read your standard. Take a breath. Do the next plain verb. Cook, clean, write, call, walk. You are not battling evil. You are shepherding energy. Each redirection is a rep that thickens your center. When you choose someone, choose fully. Delete the apps. Announce nothing. Live your standard. When conflict arrives, as it will, you will discover whether your ascetic intervals were mood or muscle. If muscle, you'll stay steady enough to fix. If mood, you'll be tempted to run back to the slot machine. Don't. Calm is a higher high than anticipation. Fidelity is a longer thrill than novelty. You don't have to hate the apps or the age to win this. You have to stop letting them draft your day. Schopenhauer didn't think the will could be destroyed. He thought it could be denied its favorite toys. Give it fewer toys and more tasks. Let desire power your craft and your care, not your compulsions. The treadmill will keep humming for others. You will be on a track, running at a pace you picked, toward a future you can describe in one sentence. The will can ride along. It does not get the wheel. You made it to the end. Good. Now make it count. If you want a witness, drop your thoughts in the comments and like this video. Share this quietly with one man who needs steadiness more than stimulation. Keep this channel on your radar if you want weekly drills, not platitudes. You don't need luck. You need a decision, a clock, and the spine to show up when it rings. Close the app. Breathe. Do the smallest hard thing on your list. Let your day, not your dopamine, say who you are.